I'll just check if she's here. No, not yet. It's okay. Right. So, welcome to Yin. Where are we going tonight? So, I've got a mixed practice for the whole body tonight. So, starting off with the breath, then we move through the lower back. We are moving into the hip and lengthening the spine, and then something for the shoulders. And then we're finishing off with a whole body yin. So see where we go. We're going to start just wherever you're comfy, unseated position. And we're going to practice something that's called a releasing breath. And it's quite simple. It's just about an inhale and an exhale, and that's all that you need to work with. So the first time we inhale for peace, and we exhale to let go of tension. So just bringing ourselves to settle on the mat, maybe taking your gaze inward if you want to. We just think about that inhaling with that calm and that peace. And on our exhale, we just allow a little tension to disappear from the body. Inhaling for peace. Exhaling to let go of tension. And just take a few rounds with the breath, just settling into the breath. And then we start to inhale for wellness. And as we exhale, release any tightness or resistance in the body. Inhaling and exhaling. Then inhaling for patience. And then exhaling without a rush. Just take your time on the exhale. Slowing the breath. And we inhale. And just dwell in that transition before we exhale and begin again. So become equal in the length of the breath, inhaling and exhaling. And then just bring your awareness back to the room and maybe just start to take the ear to the shoulder or the chin towards the collarbone. across to the other side gently. Maybe you just take the nose for a wander in a half moon. Back to center, and then we're going to just gently allow the right arm to lift. Left arm just to come out with the palm facing back, and just allow an opening of the chest. You can catch if you want to, or you can just allow them just to open. Maybe you drop the chin to the chest, maybe you don't. Again, you can use that kind of neck movement. Swapping gently the other side. And then just interlacing the hands and just gently drawing yourself into a seated cat. So you don't need to stretch much through. All the way back to seated. And we're going to come down to the mat into seal or sphinx, depending. So I'm going to use a bolster in front of me, which I'm going to just support my chest, and I'm going to put a blanket down to soften the mat. So this is where you'll get used to just using any props, cushions. So you've got a cushion there if you want to use your cushion. So if you put your cushion in front of you, what you can do, you can slide onto it and just allow a softening. So it's kind of under the belly, kind of just supporting. And very different to the yang pose. So this is wherever you want to take it. So it might just be that you soften the hands and we just allow the fingers to interlace, and we just allow the thumbs. It's a good habit to not interlace the thumbs in yoga. So we get into this habit, when you start to play with headstands, you don't interlace the thumbs. So it's always a good little just trick there. If you interlace the thumbs in headstands, you can get yourself into a little bit of shtuk. So it's a good one to practice. And it may be that you're just here and just allowing relaxation of the hips, allowing the front body to relax. If you've got blocks, you might even come into prone position and allow yourself just to gently bring the head down. So it really depends where you want to be in this pose. It can be as restful as you would like. Allowing that feeling of heaviness into the body.
Just allowing the body to melt into the yoga mat. Allowing the legs to feel really heavy. And gently draw yourself all the way up, pushing back into the hips, coming into a child's pose position. So just allow yourself to transition really quietly now. Child's pose, it's something you can do. You can put the blanket behind the heels, but you can also put something in front of the kind of tummy as well, which is quite nice. If you've got any height in the upper body, then use something. If you've got a block or your hands, and I've got a block with just an eye pillow, just to soften it, and that allows that height. And just allow yourself here to bring the breath into the practice. Allowing an inhale into the back. And while we're here with our thoughts, here's one thought for you. That every day, apparently, we have around 60,000 thoughts. And the mind is incredibly powerful, creating those thoughts. Whirlpools, fluctuations. And our thoughts, whether good or bad, we're in an ocean of energy and thoughts. And just allowing a stillness of the mind. Maybe just a little bit of yoga or meditation each day. Just allows that mind a little bit more clarity and simplicity to flow a little bit freer. So if your thoughts have just all appeared, concentrate on the breath, on the inhale and the exhale. And then very gently, just draw yourself up from child's pose. Maybe just bring the knees together and we'll come back to Dandasana. So if you've got your cushion, you can roll a blanket. So you can just sit the hips up on the blanket and allow yourself to come into Dandasana. And just taking a moment in Dandasana, if you have blocks or cushions, you can use blocks just to rest the hands either side. So it's just something that you can do. Just allow a softening now through the back of the legs. Maybe a towel rolled under the back of the leg, just softening. And just take a moment here, really feeling the right hand and being aware of the left hand side of the body. Are they even? Are you feeling different in one side to the other? Maybe gently softening the chin. And the next pose is one that I'm going to give you choices because, and that's why I brought you up into Dandasana, because it's a pose that some people absolutely adore and some people absolutely loathe. So I'm going to give you the two options. Well, in fact, there's three options. So it's swan. So some people really love this, okay? And some people find it really tricky for the hips. So the two options I'm going to give you first before the full swan. So the first option is you come into a reverse pose. So often I balance my foot on a block, low, just blanket underneath the head, and coming up into this little reverse pose. So this is keeping the spine flat and there's no pressure on the hips whatsoever. Still opening the hips gently, and you can extend this pose. So you can do lots to extend the pose. So there's lots of options here. What it does, it's not compressing the front, or you can just allow yourself just to gently open the hips here. Okay, so that's your first option. This is lovely. I might stay here. The second option is forwards. So actually, sorry, the second option is actually upright. So you can do this against a wall. You can allow yourself just to prop yourself up against a wall. I'm not going to burn myself on the heater here, but you can, same again, you've got your hip opening. Or you can soften your mat with your blanket. I'm going to go just because my bolster's on my left-hand side. I'm going to slide my left knee forwards and I'm going to wiggle my left toe across to the other side of the mat. Now, it is not, my shin is absolutely not going to be parallel to the top edge of the mat, like you see in some kind of diagrams and things. It's just not doing it for me. I walk that back leg away. So I'm just sliding that back leg behind me. And then I allow myself either to come to forearms, and I'm using this bolster just to draw, so I'm central. You don't need it. And then you can draw it all the way down to sleeping swan, if you wish. That's quite tight on my hip, but I think it's quite nice. So, but you might get there and you might go, that's not for me. Okay. In which case you take the reverse and you have a play. So do have a play with where you want to be. Now, you may find in this pose, in swan, that you hit an edge quicker than you would in some of the other poses. So if you feel kind of that tingling sensation creeping in, or anything that doesn't feel quite right, then come out of it. So we're sliding the knee across to one side, the foot across to the other. And I prop myself up so I've got that kind of central feeling before I allow myself to slide down. And please don't hold yourself here if it's uncomfortable. Allow that soft yin breath. And be present in this pose. So if you start to feel that you're needing to move, then please do. You can always come into a child's pose in the middle of this. And if you feel that you need to slide that leg out, just come into a pose in the middle where we can come into a little rebound pose. So just into child's pose or stretch. And whenever you're ready, come back, center your body. Might even be with a little upright stretch. So just allowing the body to pause. So we come back to that midline. And then find your way. If you need to move props, find your way. So we kind of come up to all fours and allow ourselves. It's nice with the blanket because you get a slidey mat rather than these wonderfully sticky yoga mats. I know sometimes you don't want the sticky yoga mat. And then allow and just keep an eye, that back leg is just all the way behind you and it's not splayed out to the side. And then draw yourself into our sleeping swan. Soft yin breath. And then if you're ready, whenever you're ready, so some will hold the pose longer than the others, just allow yourself to come into a central pose. That might be child's pose, or it could even be just a gentle hero's pose. But just take your time and practice as evenly as you can, one side to the other. So if you held a little bit longer, then that's fine. And then from your child's pose, we're going to come to something which some people, it's a toe squat, but some people refer to it as broken toe pose. So what you do is you just tuck your toes underneath you and roll onto your toes. Some people don't like it, some people do. This is the thing about Yin and yoga, because we're holding poses. It's not, you're transitioning through it quite quickly. So you might feel in the body that that's not so comfy. So it's just allowing a little bit of toe yoga. Broken toe pose. It's not a good thought. And I was going to move you into a little hero pose. This is a nice one while we're here, just for balance, because actually what we can do, if we can bring the hands together, can take this to candlestick pose. They're very descriptive terms. You really need focus and balance here. And then what I've done, I've rolled my blanket a little bit so that when I come forward, some folks find sitting on your heels is a bit sore, but it gives a little bit of support just in front of the ankle. If hero pose is not for you, you can also soften it by sitting on cushions. So you can bring this up so you can get a wider hero pose, like sitting on your hobby horse. There you are. Now my blanket's not wide enough on my ankles, but you kind of get the general gist. So find a place that you're comfy. And if this is hopeless for you, switch the legs forwards and just come into a seated pose. Sometimes it's lovely, and sometimes it's, you just work with what you've got. We're going to work on the arms a little bit. So we're going to come firstly into eagle arms. So we're going to bring the forearms together. And then we're going to drop the left arm, allowing the right just to come in and catch. Now you might just be here with feathers. Okay, so fingertips to the sky. You may be able to catch and bind again. You may not. Depends on lots and lots of different things. But yeah, and if you're doing that face, then keep with the little eagle feathers, I like to call them. It stretches the shoulders. If you have a double bind, you might wish, and even if you've just got feathers, you might just wish to push the shoulders up a tiny bit, and the gaze comes to the fingertips. Unravel gently into cactus arms.
Bring the hands gently back together. Now you drop the right. One side might be easier than the other into legal pose. Unraveling. I'm going to come up to dangling pose. So this is one for the spine. So you just come to hip width apart. And this is a forward fold. So in any forward fold, we're protecting the lower back. So we're just gently allowing a bent knee. And dangling pose is where the head is really allowed to relax. And the hands might come to the elbows. Now, dangling pose can be done with a wall. You can still soften the knees, but you've just got that support of the wall behind you. It's worth having a play with it if that's something that you quite nice to have a little bit of support sometimes. It might even be that you don't want to have the hands to the elbows, and you just allow the kind of forearms to rest on the top of the knees, and resting on the wall, you get this dangling pose where the head is just allowing lengthening of the spine. If you have blocks, you can use blocks. And from this dangling pose, we are going to stand very slowly. So we're going to roll with the head coming up last, stacking all the way up to mountain. Just allow yourself that balance, allow the shoulders to relax. Come into soft mountain pose. Move the legs if you need. You're in swan for a while. And then we're going to bring the small fingers, the thumb, the heel of the hand together into locust mudra. It's a heart opening pose. Bringing the hands to Anjula Mudra, bringing the heels of the hands, the elbows in line with the body. We inhale, open as we open the front body. We exhale, hands to the heart as we drop the chin to the chest. Inhale, the hands scoots behind the neck all the way up. Exhale, hand to the heart. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, drop the chin as we lift the hands high. Exhale, hands to the heart. Now, if you've got blocks on your mat, just move them. We're going to need the whole mat. You can keep your blanket on your mat. We're not going to go off into a yang flow, but we are going to do a yin flow. So you might end up across your mat. Okay, so we're going to interlace the fingers and we're going to just inhale really slow, cooling breath. Just catching the breath We're going to exhale across to the left-hand side, slightly forwards. Take a breath here, inhaling. And exhaling, that's my tummy rumbling, sorry. Inhale all the way up. And exhale across to the opposite side. Pause here. Inhaling. And exhaling. On your next inhale, all the way back up to center. You might want to turn to the long edge of the mat, doesn't matter which way. Bring the hands out, so we're coming into a star pose. And then step the feet out into a star pose. Doesn't matter if you're on blanket. And then sink down. So we're going to turn the toes out the way and sink down a wall into goddess. It's not like a squat. The tailbone is underneath us. That's it. All the way back up to a star pose. Back to goddess. And bring the hands to Anjali Mudra. Take a moment here. Push through the feet, straightening the legs. Turn the foot nearest the front of the mat towards the front of the mat. And just allow yourself to come back down into a lunge pose. Little runner's lunge, dropping the back knee down. And we're going to roll gently into a monkey split. So just rolling over that heel. Allow yourself just to stretch. And you can soften the head here. Keep your weight even. So if you feel like you're going across to one side, bring it back to center. Gently roll forwards back into that lunge. Draw the knees together. Sink gently back just into a very soft child's pose as we inhale all the way back into a little cow pose. Exhale round the spine into cat. Sink back to child's pose. Inhale all the way round into cow and then cat. This fluid motion, just one more time, sinking the hips all the way forwards. And exhale. Stepping the left foot forwards gently into that lunge position, taking a stretch. And then allow yourself to just roll back on that heel into half monkey pose on the other side. Rolling forwards again. That allows us just to release that foot and bring it underneath us and come all the way back to seated pose. And we're going to play in butterfly. So if you use your rug to lift the hips, now you can sit in butterfly or you can sit in a half butterfly. So I'm quite liking half butterfly at the moment, because you can support it, or you can sit in butterfly. So wherever you want. If you're in half butterfly, then you need to do both sides evenly. So just take a moment.
So, and remember, if you're in butterfly as well, and half butterfly, you can, I'm sure I could double that up. You can find a comfy place to just sit. I'm actually quite enjoying now I've got here in butterfly, having said, oh, just do half butterfly, but do what's right for you. If you're in that half butterfly, practice equally on both sides, maybe just allowing yourself to move. And then gently raise all the way up. Now, bring the knees together. This next one, and I'm introducing you to, there's only so many yin poses, but there's a few variations on them. And this one is, again, another, you might like it, you might not. So here's your option if you're not so sure, okay? We're going to play with a pose called outstretched wing. So the option, if you've got any shoulder issues, is the thread the needle, where we come all the way under and we just allow ourselves to come here. And you can always support that shoulder with a cushion, so you don't actually have to come down too low. However, if you want a little bit more, then you can bring your blanket down. And as you come forwards prone, come all the way down, you extend, and this is if you're keen on the floor as well, but I'm sure it'll be fine. If you extend your arm gently out and support with the other. Now you could just stay here. But what we can also do is we can just take a stretch into that shoulder joint. So I'm supporting gently. Again, it's not a pose that you may or may want to stay in for very long. But what you get is a stretch all the way through that wing. Outstretched wing. I don't want to call it broken wing. So please, let's not. So if you, again, it's about sensation. So if you've got any carpal tunnel syndrome or anything like that, that's about the hands and the wrists, just be mindful of it, because it's circulation as well, isn't it? So you're going on to something, but it might feel good. If it doesn't, you've got some options. So I'm just rolling, and then I just gently find a place that I'm comfy. And those sensations, be mindful there's not tingling in the fingers or the shoulder. So just moving gently out. Maybe coming to thread the needle, if that's, or play. And this one is for you to feel however long that you want to remain in this pose. So if there's sensation building up in the arm and the shoulder, then just gently move to the opposite side and maybe play with a flow or come to seated and play with a twist. So probably if you haven't moved by now, just move gently to the other side if you're working on the other outstretched wing. And then gently come out of that pose. And we're going to just transition gently. So come up to seated and then down to your back. And as I say, if you are cooling down, then just pop some layers on. And we're just going to come to constructive rest pose here. So allow the spine to lengthen on the yoga mat and allow the knees just to come together. Just allowing that pose in between poses. That melting of the body to the mat. You may wish to stay in constructive rest pose, or you may wish to come to a supported bridge. So if you're coming to supported bridge, you just walk the feet just in line with the body gently and find a cushion or a block where you can just rest the lower back on. So you're allowing the hips to kind of open over the block. If you want to borrow a block, I can pop one to you. So okay, right. Gary, do you want to borrow a block? Are you okay? Cool. Cool. And just allow the front body to open. The chest, the hips. So if you've got a cushion, Christian, just to pop under your lower back, then you're not having to hold bridge, or bring the hips down and just allow yourself into that resting pose. And then we're starting to slow down to now Shavasana. So if you've got layers to put on, or you want to get comfy with a blanket, just gently draw yourself out of the supported bridge and just allow yourself to get comfy. I'm going to just draw myself to seated with a blanket. And wherever you are, just start to get yourself comfy. And just a thought before we just head into our relaxation. That's a wee quote by a chap called Henry Haskins, just a short one. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. Just taking a moment just to reflect. Just to observe the breath. Allowing body just to feel at ease, feel still. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the jaw and the forehead, relaxing the arms and the legs. Relaxing and just observing any place that you're holding any tension in the body, and just allow a softening if you can.
And bring that awareness, just that gentle rise and fall of the breath. Bring the awareness to the fingertips. Bring awareness to the toes. And just, if you are in Shavasana, just allow yourself a moment to pause. And then gently start to come to the side of the body, allowing yourself just to turn really slowly, making your way in your own time, very gently. And as you pause, just start to very slowly and mindfully move, making that journey all the way back to a seated position when you're ready, of your choice. And then just connecting the hands together at the heart, very gently. Just take a pause here with an inhale and exhale. And thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you. It was lovely to see you online too. Hopefully see you in person tomorrow night. Very exciting. I'll just pop the cord off. All right. Have a lovely evening, Rachel.